Hey, what's up? Welcome to a daily deck. Say hi to Toast. Toast says hello, and today the daily deck is Etali, Primal Conqueror. Now, this is a cEDH deck, or it's designed to be cEDH. You know, who knows how good it actually is. But it was hit by the bans not too long ago because Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt were super good at pumping out Etali. Etali is the game plan of this deck. You want to get out Etali as soon as possible, and that has looked like turn 2, turn 3, in very rare cases, even turn 1. Now, let's talk about the ability. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Alright, ignore all of this jumbled mess. I am sorry. But, like I said, the main win line is Etali. Now, yes, technically Etali isn't the win con, but it's a way to get a win out. The primary win line that I see is Food Chain and Squee to make infinite mana that you can cast for creatures. And what you do is, once you have infinite mana, you can continually cast Etali from the command zone, keep sacrificing Etali to the food chain, and once you have had that infinite mana, and pretty much you're just casting your opponent's entire deck until you have found something. Now, that's kind of the appeal to this deck. I love that it has one goal, and that is to get Etali out. Yes, there are some sub-quests that you can go with in this deck, but the main goal is get Etali out. And once you've gotten Etali out, you have so many options, and that is what I love about it. I think some people are calling it non-deterministic win line, I think is what that's called. You'll have to let me know in the comment section below, but I love that. And then of course, Food Chain and Squee. Now, there is one other win line that I have achieved once. So in the deck, there are many different ways to clone Etali, because Etali has an ETB effect, and it feels so good when you cast Etali and then off the top you flip something like a Heat Shimmer or a Cursed Mirror or a Molten Duplication or something like that. A Twin Flame, which I am so sorry, I actually don't like this art. And if you like this art, I don't want to yuck your yum or whatever the professor says, but this art is kind of freaky. But it's the only one that the store had. But it is a Twin Flame, and you duplicate your commander, Etali, and then you get more ETB effects, more Etali ETB effects. But hilariously, these have a fun combo line with the Dual Caster Mage. So Dual Caster Mage enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So essentially, with Twin Flame and Dual Caster Mage, you can, if done before combat, make an infinite amount of Dual Caster Mages and then go attack your opponents. And I have done that once, and it feels great. Okay, so this little stack is some different ways to copy Etali. Electro Duplicate feels so good because a lot of times you flip mana, and so you create a token of Etali and then you can flash it back. Molten Duplication feels good. Cursed Mirror feels good. Heat Shimmer feels good. Minsk and Boo is interesting because you can sacrifice Etali and do some fun things with that. So you can make your own decisions. Jaxus is an interesting one. You can discard a card to create a token that's a copy of another target creature, that being Etali most of the time, and you can blitz Jaxus in. This one, a Hellkite Courser, it's a 6-drop, red. When Hellkite Courser ETBs, you may put a commander you own from the command zone onto the battlefield, and of course it gets the ETB effect, and that commander being Etali, and it's awesome. I love casting that card. Rionia has some interesting combos as well, but primarily used for value. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. Oftentimes, X is more than 1. Oftentimes, X is 2 or 3. And yes, they all die to the legend rule, but I believe they all get the ETB effect, which is awesome. So those are some different ways that I clone Etali. So I want to talk briefly about some value engines that I have. Runic Armasaur, it's great. Lots of card draw. Sylvan Library, I always pay 8 life. It's great. Metamorphosis, now this is freaking interesting. If I flip this off Etali, I will sacrifice Etali. So I sacrifice a creature to add an amount of mana equal to its casting cost plus 1. So if I have cast Etali, and I flip Metamorphosis. As long as I have 1 more mana, I can recast Etali, which is great. Fear of Missing Out, it's awesome in my meta because I play against a lot of ad nauseam players, and if I can get Delirium online and go for an additional combat step, it is great, and I always go after the black players. The players, especially ad nauseam players that require their life total to win, which is primarily players playing black, because that is ad nauseam and the enchantments where you pay life. One Ring, of course. Noxious Revival is just a little bit of graveyard recursion. And Jeska's Will. Jeska's Will is amazing, and this is how I get turn 1 Etali most often. If I'm first in turn order and can get 3 mana and I have a Jeska's Will in hand, I always pick 7 mana and then I cast Etali and go wahoo. So how do I cast my stuff? So here are some ramp pieces. Of course, the Grim Monolith, the Ruby Medallion. Red spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Now, Ruby's kind of on the cutting block, but it's still good enough for now. Llanowar Elves, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, this is in German. Finhorn Elves, Arcane Signet, Delighted Halfling, because it feels so good for my opponents to Force a Will Etali, and Delighted Halfling helps prevent that. Gruul Signet, Soul Ring, of course, Sanctum Weaver. Now, I'm going to come back to this card, tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Sanctum Weaver itself is an enchantment. I do run a few other enchantments, and so there's many scenarios where this is tapping for 3 or even 4 mana, which is great. Somberwald Sage, add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool, but you can only use it to cast creature spells. Jiraga Tree Speaker. Now this is interesting. It enters 1 green as a 1/1 that does nothing, but for 2 more mana, it'll tap for 2. So pretty much for 3 mana, you can make it tap for 2, and it's okay. Nature's Lore, Search for a Forest, it's okay. Birds of Paradise, Carpet of Flowers, seems okay. Wild Growth is one of those enchantments. Blank Goblin. Now this one, you'll have to look at the rules about this. I do have a sticker sheet, because I have played it in a tournament and do know the rules if I'm reading them, but I will, essentially it makes a lot of mana. It makes 3, 4, 5 mana, maybe even more now that I think about it, which is great. Selvala, a little bit of card draw possibly, because Etali is going to be the chunkiest thing that comes out, but also adding mana. It's a little mana dork, but 2/3 body, which is good. Goblin and Archaeomancer, 2/2, doesn't die to Bowmasters. Each spell you cast that's red or green costs 1 less. Felwar Stone, Talisman, Ragavan. Ragavan's decent because it makes treasure. Destiny Spinner, also an enchantment. Creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. Elvish Mystic, and then a Chrome Mox. So these are non-ritual ramp spells. Here are the ritual ramp spells, which Jeska's Will can also be in this, but Orcish Lumberjack, Sack of Forest, add 3 mana of any red or green, Simian Spear Guide, the classic Tinderwall, yes, I run LED, Hunting Velociraptor. Now this is hilarious. Now this has allowed me to cast Etali for 3 mana many, many times, and I highly recommend this card. It is a dinosaur, and dinosaur spells you cast have Prowl. So if you have dealt damage with a dinosaur, you can cast a dinosaur for 2 and a red. Great. Etali for 3 mana. It's awesome. Rite of Flame, Treasonous Ogre. I will pay 21 life to get Etali out. Heck yeah, all day long. Elvish Spirit Guide, and then a Lotus Petal. Lotus, pet all these nuts in your mouth. Great joke. All right. I do run Legolas's Quick Reflexes, Chaos Warp, Rex Sage, Force of Vigor, and Delayed Blast Fireball. This one is interesting because it has Foretell. And if this spell was cast from exile, which has nothing to do with Foretell, but it does have Foretell. But if this spell was cast from exile, it deals 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control instead. So flipping this off, Etali feels pretty good. Here's another removal piece, Untimely Malfunction, that's in the wrong space. Here's a little bit of Counterspell, Pyroblast, Deflecting Swat, Flare of Duplication. I have sacrificed my Etali with Flare of Duplication to copy in Ad Nauseam, and it felt amazing. Veil of Summer to try to protect my stuff. crop rotation to get a Gaia's Cradle, Finale of Devastation to get whatever I want, a Squee, which is great, and then a Gamble. Gamble feels good when it works, but it feels bad when it doesn't. Discarding a Gaia's Cradle always feels bad. All right, a few more stacks before we go. Magus of the Moon, Grafdigger's Cage, Endurance, and a Blood Moon. Blood Moon and Magus shut down people like none other. Grafdigger's Cage also shuts down many decks in my meta. Okay, here are some lands. Gaia's Cradle, of course. Few basics. Ancient Tomb, yes. Basic. Cavern of Souls, let me cast my stuff, please. Wooded Foothills. Volcanic Fissure. This is upside down. I am so sorry, but I play as many MDFC lands as I can because technically this is the face side up, and so flipping this to Etali, it can be good. Can be good. Yep. Can be bad. Not exactly what I want, so maybe I take it out. Thank you for listening to me. Crystal Vein, you can sacrifice it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Stomping Ground, Mountain, Command Tower, Mountain. Turn Timber, Symbiosis, this feels good to flip off Etali. Command Beacon, because Etali dies a lot. Disciple of Freyalise, ETB, I will sacrifice Etali all day long, draw 7 cards and gain 7 life. City of Traders, Forest, Gemstone Caverns, Windswept, Forest, Spire Garden, Pinnacle Monk, Urza Saga, yes, because if I play this turn 1, I can get a Soul Ring on turn 3. Is that how that works? Yep. Forest, Mountain. This is Etali, post-ban, heck yeah, say goodbye to Toast, peace out. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe.